Welcome back to Athletic Everyday, day number 222. Got a very late workout here for you. This was an attempt to do some mobility work and like a lighter session so that I can make my body feel good. I really like all of the movements that I do here for just training all the joints in my body through full range of motion. Obviously, you've got to start with an ATG split squat because you're training your ankle, your knee, and your hip, the back hip that is, to pretty much a full range of motion or to a very extended range of motion. And you're loading that, and you can progressively load that over time. I think this is such a great movement for rehabbing the knee and improving the range of motion that you have in your ankle. So ankle mobility, I don't think you're going to get a lot of benefit from just doing static stretches on the ankle. I think you have to be able to move into that end range of motion and then move back out of it, activating the muscles when they're at their most lengthened, I think offers the greatest benefit for mobility. So worked up to a top set of, I think you're looking at 40 kilos here, 5 reps each leg, 3 sets, which was quite nice. And then I figured I would do a little bit of front squatting to transfer some of that foot and ankle and knee flexion, I guess you could say, into the front squats. So what I find when I do split squats is that I'm quite able to control the eversion/inversion of my foot a lot more. I can be very aware of it and then make sure that my knee pushes straight over my big toe essentially, or my second toe I suppose. And I wanted to just transfer that awareness that I get, because I also feel like I can use my feet a lot more in the split squat as well, in the ATG split squat. I wanted to transfer that awareness and that sort of feeling over into front squat. So what you'll notice here is I'm trying to make sure that my feet are very, very in that everted position. I'm trying not to let my arch collapse too much, which is often the case in squats. And I made sure that I did a nice narrow stance. You'll see me narrowing the stance in all these squats here, because the narrower your stance is, the more you have to push the knees out to the side and the greater range of motion you have to have at your ankle. And also, I think it also places the greatest demand on the control of the eversion of your foot in the narrow stance. I think when you go wide stance, obviously you can still control the eversion of your foot. You can do that in any squat stance, but I found that doing it with a narrow stance, it gives you a lot more of an awareness of what your foot's doing in order to achieve a full range of motion squat. Then I decided that I would do some decently heavy good mornings. You can definitely overload good mornings, and I don't think it's necessarily the weight that is the most important thing with a good morning. It's the range of motion. Trying to make sure that you have a fully erect spine and then folding just entirely through the hips. You're only loading up the hamstrings. So it's just like the perfect, what I would say is the epitome of a hinging movement. I think good mornings, because you're loading the spine at the top end and you're trying to fold all the way down, the length of that fulcrum and the distribution of the weight really puts a great emphasis on the low back and the hamstrings. Then what you saw there was a little push-pull superset that I did, incline bench press, and then head supported, I think you call them seal rows or dumbbell rows, whatever you want to call them. So that's a nice little horizontal push-pull superset there. Get a nice pump in the upper body and work on posture. I think one of the best ways to work on mobility is with adding weights to certain movements and then just extending the range of motion, training the muscles to be able to produce force in a fully lengthened position goes a long way. Then I finished up with some sled work, push-pull, 5 minutes. Really, really great way to build work capacity and just get those ankles and feet moving through a full range of motion, bringing some awareness to that. And then lastly, I finished up with a tiny bit of lateral flexion training, something I often neglect in my training, but it's important to train the core muscles through a full range of motion dynamically. So with isotonic contractions and also isometric contractions. The core has 2 functions: to make your spine move, but also to hold your spine stable. And finally, I did some bodyweight chins, focusing on activating the biceps a lot more. Before, I figured I'd do a little physique check, see what my conditioning is looking like right now. Pretty lean, very happy with my physique. So that's it, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.